Sarah Boone, the suitcase murderer. When people hear about Sarah Boone, they're like, how the hell do you murder someone with a suitcase? Well, Sarah Boone did. Sarah Boone took advantage of her boyfriend that was really drunk. And, you know, in my opinion, I do think Sarah Boone beat George Torres with the baseball bat and then ultimately put him in the suitcase, zipped him up. You know, the story of like him going there while he was drunk and then like them laughing and all out, I don't believe that. I just don't. I know people have different theories about what happened, but I do believe that she hit him with a baseball bat, she beat him, and she put him in there, and then he was still alive, and she was taunting him. And then she decided to film him and record him, and she was really drunk, and she forgot about it. So Sarah Boone was found guilty about, oof, man, time flies. I was going to say half a year ago, but no, it's more than that. 9 months ago, 10 months ago. She was found guilty, and the crazy thing with Sarah Boone, and I always have to bring this up because it is wild to me. Sarah Boone already served 5 years, I think, in jail, and they went to her with a plea deal. They're like, hey, Sarah, we'll give you 15 years, you plead guilty, and then apparently in, you know, Florida, you can get out early on, you know, good behavior. Although I don't know if Sarah Boone would qualify for good behavior because it seems like she was getting on the jail's nerves, okay? She was like doing things with her clothes. I don't know, man. I don't think she was following the rules. But essentially they went to her with a plea deal like, hey, 15 years, you plead guilty. And then let's say if she got, you know, good behavior, maybe she gets out in like, I don't know, like 13 years, 12 years, but she already served 5 years. So she could have gotten out maybe in like 6, 7, 8 years, right? Crazy. Sarah Boone walking the streets. I'm so glad she didn't take this plea deal because I'm like, no, she's crazy. Anyway, so she did not want to do the plea deal. She believed that she was the one who was a battered spouse. And, you know, she said that George did horrible things to me, which we don't disagree with that. We saw, you know, her and George having a very volatile relationship. He would hit her, he would beat her, she would go to the hospital. But, you know, honestly, like Sarah Boone, like a lot of the footage that we saw of her and the recordings, she was also very fucking abusive. There's different types of abuse, and she's pretty fucking crazy. Watching it was actually really shocking because it was a lot worse than what we initially thought. I just felt like the more information that came out about Sarah Boone, the worse it just kept getting. And so, you know, I think she really thought she could sway the public by showing, you know, the jury, the court, that, oh, look at what George did to me before. These are the pictures, you know, and she did have some really horrible injuries. She got stabbed. She had to go to the hospital. She had like this really bad black eye. But, you know, what Sarah Boone did is not justified. You know, you can't just take shit into your own fucking hands. You know, they had a very volatile relationship, and it seems like she just wanted to punish him. She wanted to punish him. She wanted to humiliate him. And that's exactly what she did. And he died a fucking horrible, excruciating death, suffocating to death in a fucking suitcase, being all cramped up. Like, yes, George is a small guy, but still, who wants to die in a fucking suitcase like that? That's just fucking horrible. And getting beat to death by the person that you thought you loved on the other side. Really awful. So Sarah Boone was found guilty. And, you know, that was pretty much the end of Sarah Boone until a couple weeks afterwards where Sarah Boone, she spoke at her sentencing, and she was like, this is a shorter version because I think Mr. Owens was like, hey, Sarah Boone, like, a lot of the shit that you wrote, I'm going to cut it out. So she did that. And then she got the sentence. She wasn't very happy. So she's like, fuck this. I'm going to release what I originally wrote to the world, to the judge, to everyone, because fuck you guys. So Sarah Boone wrote this. She wrote this whole thing, released it out to the public. And it was basically just like, fuck you guys. You guys suck, and I don't deserve this. I'm the victim here. I don't know. Crazy stuff. Anyway, so Sarah Boone is waiting. You know, she's doing her appeal thing. And, you know, once in a while, I'll check on, you know, Sarah Boone to see what's up over here. And I don't know what's going on with the Sarah Boone stuff. I don't know if maybe her appeal attorney is working and he's just really busy. And I don't know what's going on, but it seems like there's a lack of communication between her appeal attorney and the court system, and also the appeal attorney and Sarah Boone. So, I mean, it's not like we're not seeing anything happening, but I do remember that there was some stuff going on here. It seems like, because I thought that you had 30 days to appeal your case. I guess I don't really know how it happens, but I thought you had 30 days to appeal your case. I think they put in a thing saying like, hey, I'm going to appeal. And then he requested transcripts, which we read, by the way, because we got to read all the sidebar transcripts. If you guys have not seen the video that I covered with the sidebar transcripts, read them. They're pretty great. I love covering sidebar transcripts because we don't get to hear them during the trial. We don't know what they're arguing about, but similar to the Depp v. Heard one, right? When the sidebar transcripts were released, we're like, holy shit, like I thought Elaine was bad, but she was even worse in the sidebars. Now, I would say Mr. Owens wasn't too bad in the sidebars, but he was very entertaining indeed because he was pissed, okay? By the end of the trial, he fucking hated the opposing side. He hated the state. He was like... What are you saying? It was like in closing arguments, and he's like, "This guy is a know-it-all. He thinks he knows everything." He was talking about Mr. J. So funny. Anyways, just little court drama stuff, you know, little court drama stuff. Sarah says, "It's true. Agreed. He was stuffed in that suitcase. I always thought she hit him while he was in the suitcase. I think it was both. I honestly think it was both. I think she pushed him down the staircase. And then I think she beat him, and I think she dragged him into the suitcase, and then zipped him up, and then continue dragging, beating him even more. The whole like laughing and all that stuff, like I feel like that didn't happen, but they just don't know who Sarah is. I mean, she made straight A's. Sarah's being reprimanded in prison. Sarah's being Sarah. That won't end well at Lowell. Michael made straight A's. They don't know who she is. I don't believe a word Boone says. She is evil to the core. But here's the thing, though. I don't think she's still, till this very day, I don't think she believes it's her fault. I think she still blames George. I think she blames the whole world. I think she blames everyone that covered this, the judges, the jury. I honestly don't think she'll ever take accountability. All right, anyways. So, let's just go through the timeline. Correspondence filed from the defendant to the judge. So that's the letter I was telling you guys about, the unhinged letter, Sarah Boone. Order appointing counsel. So I think initially she was appointed Alan Holland, but something happened. I think maybe there was like, I don't know, there could be a conflict of interest, or maybe Alan Holland wasn't available. I'm not quite sure. But then it was eventually appointed to Joshua Adams. So Joshua Adams is Sarah Boone's appeal attorney right now. I think this was followed by Mr. Owens. I remember that. I wonder if Sarah Boone's like, "Hey, Mr. Owens, can you just do my appeal for me?" And he's like, "Nope." What's this? Uniform, commitment, and receipt. Okay. Notice of inquiry. Oh, I remember Sarah Boone. Okay, we could read this. Comes now, Sarah Boone, pro se, files his notice of inquiry with the clerk of circuit court in the above referenced case number, inquiring as to the status of the appointment of appellate counsel. The last entry in the doc in this case shows that Joshua Adams, Esquire, was appointed to represent the defendant on December 18, 2022. However, she has not received any correspondence from him, and her application of indigence to be appointed an appellate attorney was not filed with this court until December 23, 2024. Apparently, she tried to reach out to Joshua Adams, and she's only heard from him once so far. But that's her side of the story. She could be lying. I don't know. Or she'd be telling the truth. Correspondence from the clerk. In response to correspondence, Joshua Adams has been appointed to represent you for an appeal. However, at this time, no notice of appeal is on file. So I don't know if there is some clerical issue or what's going on here. Maybe there's some personal stuff going on with Joshua Adams. Not too sure. The 6th District Court of Appeal has received a case initiation document reflecting a filing date of December 18, 2024. This is from... Oh, no, this is CC to James Owens. Okay. Designation to court reporter. We don't need to read this. DCA order. What's this DCA order? By the order of this court, the appellant's motion for extension of time to serve the initial brief is denied without prejudice as moot, as the clerk of the lower tribunal has not transmitted the record on appeal to this court. So we're thinking, okay, what's going on with Joshua Adams? The court reporter's motion for extension of time is granted. The transcript shall be filed with the clerk of the lower tribunal by April 11th. So we got all these transcripts that were posted, and we got to read them. Yay, fun. DCA order. This is from May 2nd of this year. The lower tribunal has not transmitted to the record on appeal to this court within 20 days from the date of this order. Appellant shall ensure the clerk of the lower tribunal transmit to the record on appeal, or alternately, file a response that shows why this appeal should not be dismissed for failing to ensure the transmission of the record. the record is not transmitted or the appellant fails to file a response within the time allowed, this case may be dismissed without further notice or opportunity to be heard. So Sarah probably saw this and she was probably sweating, because I would be too. I'd be like, what's going on with my appeal here? No, please don't just dismiss it. Index to record on appeal. I don't think we need to go through this. Okay, yeah, this is just basically an index of everything. DC order. This is from June 13. Hey, it's me, Popsicle here. Hello, how's it going? By the order of the court, within 20 days from the date of this order, appellant shall serve an initial brief or alternatively file a response that shows cause why this appeal should not be dismissed for failing to timely serve an initial brief. If appellant fails to timely comply with this order, this case may be dismissed without further notice or opportunity to be heard. Again, we got this in May, and then we got this in June. Here's July. What's going on in July here? So it seems like Sarah Boone's appeal attorney put in the motion for extension, and that motion was granted. The appellant shall serve the initial brief within 60 days from the date of this order. I hereby certify that the foregoing is a true copy of the original court order. So maybe something happened that's legitimate enough for, the reason why there's a delay for the initial brief to be filed. All right, 7-1. Is that the one we just read, right? Yeah. So this is Sarah Boone here. So we don't get like the unhinged Sarah Boone letter, the one that's handwritten, the one that is complaining and basically talking shit about the attorneys, the judge, and everyone else in the world. Sarah Boone writes this, and honestly, it's not unhinged. Sarah Boone, are you changing? Notice of inquiry comes now Sarah Boone, appellant, and respectfully moves this honorable court to please provide the status of her court-appointed appellate attorney, Joshua E. Adams, in addition to her inquiry as to the status of her pending appeal. So with Sarah Boone, we're going to hear the same complaints, though, saying that basically there's a lack of communication and she hasn't really heard anything. She's only heard a response from him once. I'm not really quite sure how involved the defendant is in appeals. Now, defendants being involved in their case, yes, because, they have to work with the attorneys, but being involved in the appeal process, I wonder if that's like mostly just like the attorneys thing, where the attorneys are basically doing their own thing. And if they need the, defendant for anything, he can like go to her and ask her maybe some questions. But I don't know if it's just like all like them looking at transcripts and just seeing if there's anything that could have been done differently or the judge ruled incorrectly. But I can't wait to read the initial brief if it's ever filed. Sarah Boone thinks she has a say in her appeal. Her attorney knows better. Not to Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone thinks she knows everything. Number 2, the court-appointed appellate counsel, Joshua E. Adams, has sent a single basic introduction via inmate message to appellant on February 27, 2025, asking if she had any information and to not to hesitate to contact him with. Number 3, appellant has attempted to contact Mr. Adams via inmate messaging 5 times and sent 2 handwritten letters to his office in efforts to receive status of her appeal and to confirm receipt of her correspondence to ensure his representation was and is still active, from no response from him. Number 4, to the present date of the inquiry, appellant has not received any type of response or correspondence in any manner or form from Joshua E. Adams, nor has any of her 9 third-party representatives on her behalf via email and phone calls, which go directly to his voicemail. I wonder if his voicemail is full. Dude, when you're trying to get a hold of someone and then their voicemail is full, oh my goodness. Number 5, ongoing 7 months, appellant has received 1 message from her court-appointed appellate attorney, Joshua E. Adams. I'm surprised she didn't do the 7 months. You know how Sarah Boone breaks it down for you? She's like 7 months, X amount of days, X amount of hours, X amount of minutes, X amount of seconds. Number 6, appellant was recently made aware by a third-party rep that the court issued an order on June 13, 2025 with a 20-day due date. So Sarah Boone has someone on the outside who's probably updating her because, she's not getting this. And they're probably like, hey, Sarah, something's going on with your appeal. Is your attorney filing? Like, what's going on? I don't know. You should be worried about this. Nerdy DC says her 9 third-party representatives. Wow. So she was made aware that The court issued an order on June 13th requiring an initial brief to be filed or her appeal may be dismissed. Due to a complete lack of proper and effective communication from her court-appointed appellate attorney, the appellant's appeal is now in jeopardy. Yeah, I would probably be sweating bullets too. The failure of an appointed attorney to perform duties or communicate with their client cannot be held against the appellant. Dismissal of an appeal under these circumstances would be an obvious denial of her due process and effective assistance of counsel. See Pullen v. State. The failure of appointed counsel to act cannot be imputed to the defendants to justify dismissal. 7. Appellant further invokes Douglas v. California. I wonder if he looks through it and he's like, I don't know if maybe he couldn't find something to, I don't know. I feel like there's always something. No, because there was like issues with, hold on. I was thinking like maybe the appellate attorney didn't file anything. He's like, I can't find anything to appeal. But remember how during the trial, there was that doctor that testified who essentially added more information to, was it her diagnosis of Sarah Boone or something like that? That doctor, I don't know. That was a weird testimony for me. She was like super busy. She had a lot of things to do. And I felt like when she came to testify for the Sarah Boone case, she was just like, dude, I just looked all the information. I just like looked at all the paperwork really quick and I'm just testifying right now. Like I felt like she was just way too busy to take on this role as being an expert in this trial. She just felt like someone that was just like really busy for me. All right. Appellant further invokes Douglas v. California, which guarantees a right to counsel in the first appeal as of right, and Adders v. California, which outlines the duty of appointing appellate counsel to support the appeal or withdraw following proper procedures, neither of which have been followed here. So, I mean, I think it's good that Sarah Boone files this just so it's on the record. Like, hey, I barely had communication with my attorney and what is going on? But they did file an extension for 60 days. So we'll see within 60 days if the initial brief will be filed. Appellant respectfully requests this honorable court to please advise and take notice of these violations and to either compel court-appointed appellate attorney Joshua E. Adams to fulfill his legal duties and communicate immediately, or appoint new counsel capable of necessary communication, representation, and inclusion of the appellant. Dated this 24th day of June 2025. Respectfully submitted, Sarah Boone. Oh, Lowell. That's where they moved her now. Lowell Correctional. Lowell. That's why you're going to say Lowell earlier. Oh, there's Sarah Boone. So we'll see what happens. I just thought maybe some of the appeal stuff was not being filed under here. I was like, maybe there's a new case number for the appeal, and that's why we're not seeing any of the appeal stuff. But it seems like nothing's really happening right now. That's probably why. Sarah says, George's death is your fault. Know that. Oh my goodness. Every time when I hear the phrase know that, I always think of her. Ugh, gosh, there's like so many phrases that I'll hear now that just like triggers me, and I'll think of like certain killers, certain people. I thought the Boone case was closed. She should just zip it. And she's gonna, appeal. She's got a right to do that. Will Sarah be able to charm us citizens from expressing their opinions? Your Honor, make them stop. I hate that green chili chicken is brought up before I've had my lunch. Stop it! I know, every time I see the name, I get hungry. Sarah's appellate issues were addressed in her motion for the retrial. Courts rarely overturn issues already covered and denied. Hello, Kendall Dad. I think I heard somewhere that appeal attorneys don't have to communicate much with the client because they're just looking for errors in the case. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if maybe Sarah thinks that she needs to be like heavily involved like she was in her trial. But I would expect in appeals, I mean, what can you add? It's not like she knows like the law or anything like that. What can you add on more? She can tell them how she felt. She felt like she was being wronged. But yeah, I feel like they're just looking for technicalities and stuff like that. All right. Was there anything else with Sarah Boone? I did want to do a separate Sarah Boone coverage. I got access to her other court documents, but I just haven't gone through yet. I don't know if I want to. We'll see. If it's interesting. Maybe we will go through it. All right. So that was the Sarah Boone letter, I guess, and not completely unhinged. Very surprised. I thought she'd be like, fuck it. That's basically the aura that we got from her after her sentencing, where when she put in that correspondence to the judge, it was basically like, F you guys, F the world. You guys suck.